What if you were dropped into the Stone Age, naked, barefoot, and alone, with no tools, no shelter, and no supermarkets? Just raw survival. Now imagine this. Your body isn't ready. Not even close. Over the next 100,000 years, you'd evolve into something resembling a modern human, except your body would be a lot more wild. Your fingernails and toenails would become claws for climbing, and your neck would elongate to help carry your head off the ground. Your shoulders would shift forward, and your elbows would flare out, giving you a huge range of motion in your arms. Finally, you'd grow thick, luscious hair all over your body to keep you warm and protect you from the elements. You'd also develop a tail for balance and to help you climb trees. And your face would have a strong jaw and prominent brow ridge to give you a fierce appearance. You'd be a true survivor. Your feet blister on the rough earth. Your soft, upright spine starts to buckle. You can't outrun predators. You can't even digest raw meat. But what if you were built for this world? What would your body actually look like if it had evolved purely for prehistoric survival? Welcome to the ultimate survival challenge, where there are no rules, only raw, natural selection. Let's see how you hold up. No hoodie, no phone, no running shoes. Just your soft feet, brittle bones, and a brain used to grocery apps and alarm clocks. Within minutes, your modern body is under attack. Not from lions or wolves, but from the very world itself. But in the Stone Age, our legs were thicker, stronger. Our knees were more stable, our ankles were tougher. But back then, jaws were strong and wide, skulls thick and high, noses large, all to protect our brains from injury. So the next time you look in the mirror, remember that you're not just looking at yourself. You're seeing a direct link to our survival, a testament to the relentless forces of evolution. What you see is a body that was once perfectly suited for survival in the wild, but has since been domesticated by modern life. Now the question is, will our bodies continue to evolve along this path of comfort and technology? Or will we find ourselves drawn back to the wild, where nature's demand for survival will shape us in ways we can't even imagine? Only time will tell. Thanks for watching. If evolution had kept favoring these tough features, our jaws could have become even more massive, allowing us to chomp through flesh with ease. Our skulls could have become even thicker, protecting our brains from any injury. And our noses could have grown into powerful weapons, perfect for bashing in the skulls of our enemies. We had big quads to help us run long distances after prey or escape predators. In fact, research suggests that our early ancestors could run up to 45 kilometers per hour. If evolution had kept favoring these strong legs, our stride length would have increased dramatically. We could be skipping along like kangaroos, bounding over the savannah at incredible speeds, maybe even sprinting at 65 kilometers per hour. The air bites cold, the ground is jagged. Your uncalloused hands can't grip, can't dig, can't fight. But compared to our ancestors, our shoulders are weaker, our muscles are smaller. We don't hunt with spears anymore. We type on keyboards. But back then, our shoulders were angled like a chimpanzee's, perfect for throwing spears over long distances. Our chest was barrel-shaped, expanding our lung capacity so we could take in more oxygen. Our fingers were longer and stronger, better for gripping a spear or club. And if evolution had kept favoring these strong bodies, our shoulders could have become even more powerful, allowing us to throw spears twice as far maybe, even giving us the ability to climb trees like chimps, using our arms to swing from branch to branch. Your spine begins to ache from crouching, crawling, and scrambling uphill. Your lungs burn after just a short run. Your stomach rejects the raw meat you just managed to tear from a carcass. Because the truth is brutal. We were never built for this world. Not anymore. To understand what we could have looked like, we need to first understand what nature demanded from us. Our ancestors didn't die because they couldn't find food or water. Not toward comfort, but toward extreme survival. Let's build that body piece by piece, starting with the feet. Modern feet are pretty weak. You can't climb, jump, or sprint without risking an ankle sprain. But our Stone Age feet were different. They were shorter, flatter, stronger. They had arches that acted like springs, propelling us forward when we ran, helping us jump over logs, scramble up rocks, and grip the ground with our big toe, which was opposable. If evolution had kept favoring these stronger feet, our toes would have become even longer and more flexible, allowing us to grip branches like a monkey to swing across the forest floor or grip the side of a cliff, while we pick up tubers or fruit. They died because the world punished softness. It rewarded adaptability, aggression, and sheer physical resilience. The humans who thrived here weren't gym fit. They were bioengineered by evolution for survival. Feet like leather boots, shoulders built for spear throwing, stomachs able to digest rotten meat, and pain thresholds that modern people can't even imagine. These weren't superhero bodies. They were Stone Age bodies, shaped, scarred, and selected over thousands of generations. So now the question becomes, what would happen if evolution had kept going in that direction? But our feet aren't the only things that changed. Our legs are another story. Today, most people have skinny, weak legs. Our upper body went through its own changes too. If you look at the average man today, you might think we have pretty strong arms. Finally, we come to the head. Compared to our ancestors, most people today have weak jaws, thin skulls, small noses. The point is, if we had continued to evolve along the path of extreme survival, our bodies would have become something shockingly different. Picture a human from the Stone Age. What do you see? A buff, muscular hunter-gatherer, a noble savage, perhaps. Well, you've been sold a fantasy. The truth is far more disturbing. But a Stone Age optimized human wouldn't need shoes. They would be shoes. Imagine thick, rubber-like soles, layers of keratinized skin tough as sandal leather. This physique is all about function, arms, and grip. The original tools forget gym curls. In this world, grip strength is king. Early humans climbed trees, threw spears, and dragged kills for miles. So arms would evolve to be shorter but thicker, with strong deltoids and forearms dense with muscle fiber. The hands, calloused, wider palms, thick fingers. Each joint like reinforced scaffolding, thumbs positioned for precision. Not texting, but for napping flint, twisting sinew, gutting game. The forearm rotation would be more powerful. You'd be able to crack bone, not just open jars, and it wouldn't just be muscle. Bones themselves would be twice as thick, harder to break. Fractures that sideline us today. In this body, they'd barely register. But even these modifications would not be enough to make a Stone Age human truly invincible. For that, we'd need to upgrade their most valuable asset, their brain. Click here to learn how. The next episode of Unstoppable will be available soon. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Toes spread wide apart for grip, each toe acting like a separate stabilizer across rocky slopes or muddy terrain. No arches collapsing, no twisted ankles. These feet wouldn't just walk. They'd run for hours over brutal landscapes, chasing prey or fleeing predators. Even the Achilles tendon, in a modern person prone to injury, would evolve to be thicker, more elastic. A natural spring for explosive sprinting. Those feet would have been weapons, capable of taking down prey and holding up under unimaginable strain. But what about the rest of the body? How would the rest of the Stone Age human's body change? Let's start with the obvious. The Stone Age human was an emaciated, scrappy survivor, thin as a rail, twice as determined. And its most important asset wasn't muscle, it was its feet. Let's begin from the ground up. Literally. Feet, nature's forgotten weapon, your modern feet. They're fragile, built for sneakers and smooth floors. Legs and core. Built to move or die in the wild. Movement is survival. A Stone Age evolved human would have dense, compact legs, with thick femurs and longer calves, designed not for looks, but endurance. Think, Marathoner meets parkour athlete. The hips would be wider for stability. The glutes larger and denser, not for aesthetics, but to climb, leap, and launch. At the center of it all, the core, not chiseled abs, but a barrel-like torso. This shape holds more organs, insulates warmth, and provides shock absorption. This core isn't just about strength. It's about surviving impact, handling falls, and staying upright with 50 pounds of meat on your back. But what about the upper body? How would evolution change those if our Stone Age human was constantly in pursuit of food? Forget six-pack abs. There's a reason why some faces seem more striking than others. Why some facial structures seem more captivating or even unsettling. Have you ever noticed that? Their faces weren't just a means of social recognition or emotional expression. They were a testament to their struggle for survival. Their prominent brow ridge wasn't just a matter of aesthetics. It was a shield against the harsh impacts of their environment. Branches during climbing, falls during hunts, and the constant battering from the elements. It was a statement to the world. Do not underestimate me. They shielded the eyes from the dual assault of dust and wind, common problems in their world. The streamlined position of their ears reduced their exposure to the chilling effects of the wind, shielding them from potential frostbite. Simultaneously, this placement minimized the risk of injury, a crucial advantage in their perilous world. Moreover, this feature proved beneficial in intense sunlight, reducing the risk of harmful UV radiation reaching the eyes. But nature's masterpiece didn't end at the eyes. Picture a vast plain, the wind whipping across the grasslands. Our ancestors, armed with these larger lungs, could endure, could keep going when others would falter. These lungs allowed them to hunt large game over vast distances and survive at different altitudes, underlining the significance of this adaptation. The skin surrounding them evolved to filter harsh light, much like today's sunglasses. The story of their facial structure is one of adaptation, survival, and sheer endurance. It's a reminder that we are the descendants of those resilient souls who stared down adversity and won, leaving their legacy etched not just in our genes, but in the very structure of our faces. It's a narrative deeply intertwined with the challenges they faced and the triumphs they achieved in a world where every breath, every bite, and every glance was a testament to their unyielding spirit. Each adaptation was a testament to the relentless march of evolution, favoring traits that increased survival and reproduction. Life may have dealt me a hard hand, but I am here to stay. Some faces appear more sculpted, as if chiseled by forces beyond the ordinary. Our ancestors' faces concealed deeper, more intricate marvels. Take, for instance, their digestive system. That seemingly innocuous aspect of their anatomy was a marvel of adaptation. It pumped life into their veins, ensuring their survival during long hunts or when the unforgiving terrain demanded every ounce of their strength. With a shorter digestive tract than their modern counterpart, they were perfectly primed to digest high-protein, high-fat diets. This was a system honed by the demands of their lifestyle, subsisting on a blend of hunted meat and gathered goods. And this fascination isn't merely aesthetic. It touches upon our primal curiosity about survival, adaptation, and the raw realities of our existence. It enabled them to consume meat that wasn't always fresh, protecting them from harmful bacteria. This hardy digestive system allowed our ancestors to survive on a diet that would make modern stomachs revolt, showcasing the remarkable resilience of early human guts. Imagine our prehistoric ancestors, rugged survivors in a world where every day was a test of endurance. Similarly, their robust jaw structure wasn't just a defining feature of their appearance. It was a tool, a weapon, and a fortress. In a world without forks, it was also about how they used their teeth. You see, our ancestors had a peculiar dental arrangement, while their canines were suited for dealing with meat. Their molars were designed for crushing nuts and pulverizing tough plant matter. It was a versatile system that allowed them to exploit various food sources. And knives? Everything was seized and devoured raw. A weaker jaw meant a struggle to procure nourishment. Their strong cheekbones, or zygomatic arches to be precise, were the structural support for these massive jaw muscles. Without them, our ancestors would have been ill-equipped to handle the immense chewing demands of their time. But it wasn't just about what they could eat. Let's move beyond the jaw and teeth and consider the broader canvas of their faces. Their broad, flat nose wasn't just a defining characteristic of their heritage. It was an evolutionary marvel. In colder climates, this nose structure served as a radiator, warming the frigid air they inhaled. Conversely, in hotter regions, it acted as a cooler, dissipating heat from their bodies. It was a remarkable adaptation that enabled them to thrive in diverse environments. Their deep-set eyes weren't just appealing, they were functional. And then there's the placement of their ears. Nature didn't adorn their faces for the sake of aesthetics. Every detail served a purpose. But the story doesn't end at the surface. Their powerful stomach acid wasn't just a biological quirk, it was a safeguard. Even their internal organs played their part. Their heart, nestled within their chest, was a testament to endurance. Let's not overlook their respiratory system. Their enlarged lung capacity wasn't just a biological trait, it was an evolutionary advantage. Moreover, their stronger diaphragm enhanced breathing efficiency, another asset during physical exertion or when the air grew thin at higher elevations. This isn't just about the past. It reflects our shared heritage, our species' remarkable journey through time. You're probably not what you look like. You're what you look like if you were built by nature, not nurtured by society. What would that version of you look like? That version of you is stronger, smarter, tougher, and today we're going to show you how. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to build the ultimate prehistoric human body, piece by piece, not based on fantasy. This shape conserves heat, protects organs, and maximizes leverage. Think 5 feet 4 inches to 5 feet 8, 180 to 220 pounds. No visible fat, but not shredded, thick with functional bulk. The heart is robust, working with an iron lung to pump oxygen to every cell, ensuring no energy is wasted. High melanin to block solar radiation. Sweat glands optimized for dry, hot climates. Hair on key areas like scalp, armpits, and groin for scent and temperature control. Body hair is patchy, but thicker than modern humans, especially around the neck, spine, and legs. Let's evolve together. Like a short, functional cloak that traps heat when needed, sheds it when moving. Subcutaneous fat, especially over joints and the back, adds cushion during falls or while sleeping on rocks. There are no tattoos, no perfume, no skincare. This skin tells the story of every hunt, every wound, every winter survived. The circulatory system is a high-speed network, delivering nutrients to every muscle fiber, removing waste with speed. This isn't just primal, it's practical. It can take a punch, endure the elements, track prey over miles. No delicate features, no fair skin. This is a face that has stared down predators and stared up at the stars, counting them to track time. This is the face of our ancestors, stripped of vanity, revealing the raw essence of survival. It's the face of the ultimate prehistoric human. Even the nervous system is leaner, meaner, with nerves that fire faster, senses that perceive danger quicker. This body doesn't complain. It adapts. When food is scarce, it goes days without eating, surviving on stored fat, slowing its metabolism to conserve energy. When the desert sun beats down, it minimizes water loss through sweat, panting, peeing less. When temperatures plummet, it curls up, shivering, generating heat, protecting vital organs, seeking shelter. In this body, weakness meant death. Being unprepared meant being food. Only the resilient survived. The rib cage is wider and more conical, allowing bigger lung expansion and more space for the heart during fights or falls. Joints are heavily padded, ligaments thick. The center of gravity is lower, giving unmatched balance and maneuverability on rough terrain. This body doesn't run a 100-meter dash. It runs 30 kilometers, chasing a wounded gazelle for hours, then finishes the job with a sharpened stick. But forged from the cold logic of natural selection. Not what we wish we looked like, but what we had to look like to survive. This is not a Neanderthal. This is not Homo sapiens. So evolution trims fat from where it's useless and reinforces it where it matters. This prehistoric body has functional muscle bulk, like a barreled chest and thick thighs. The lats and traps are massive, not just for show, but to anchor the body's weight on climbs and carries. Forearms thick, fingers strong, calves powerful. Every movement is efficient, economical, deadly. This isn't about aesthetics, it's about function. Every muscle tells the story of survival. This is something in between and beyond. An apex land predator that was never pampered, never domesticated. A body that only got to pass on its genes if it outran, outlasted, or overpowered everything else around it. So, let's build the monster. First, the skeleton. Our ideal prehistoric body is shorter, stockier, with wide shoulders and hips. Next, the muscles. No six-pack abs or pumped biceps because muscle costs energy, and calories were rare. Energy efficiency. This prehistoric body doesn't need a gym membership or protein shakes. It survives on what nature provides and makes every drop of sweat count. Skin, hair, and fat. The skin is dark, thick, and calloused. This isn't aesthetic, it's functional. The face is broad, the jaw powerful, the eyes deep-set under heavy brows. We've imagined the world. We've imagined the pressure. Now we've built the ultimate prehistoric human body. Are you ready to bring it to life? Share your thoughts. Now that we've shaped the frame, it's time to fuel it. Because a prehistoric body wasn't about looking powerful, it was about being impossible to kill. This human had dense muscle, not bulky muscle. It wasn't about size, it was about output per calorie. The arms, shorter but thicker, optimized for throwing weapons, climbing, wrestling prey, and carrying heavy loads across uneven terrain. The shoulders rotated more easily, enabling repetitive spear throws without strain. The legs, but there's one system left, the one we overlook the most. The system that made this prehistoric body not just strong, but relentlessly adaptable. Next time on our channel, we explore the immune system, the pain threshold, and the real reason prehistoric humans didn't die from wounds that would kill us today. Don't miss part 3. See you next time. Not sprinter thin, but tree trunk thick, built for relentless movement. Up hills, through forests, across rivers. The calves stored glycogen like a battery. The glutes, among the most powerful muscles, allowed upright posture while carrying weight. The back, broad, muscular, but functional. Able to drag a fallen animal. Able to carry a child, tools, meat, for days. But the most important muscle, the heart. What made this human an apex survivor wasn't brute strength alone. It was energy efficiency, pain resistance, and the ability to keep moving long after everything else collapsed. Muscle design. Strong where it matters, you might expect this body to be jacked. Like a modern athlete, but that's not quite right. The engine of survival, the prehistoric heart, wasn't a fragile, stress-sensitive organ like ours. It beat slower, harder, longer, capable of withstanding massive blood loss, cold temperatures, and long-distance endurance. The lungs were larger, more elastic. The diaphragm was reinforced with extra musculature. This person could hold their breath underwater or pantrun for hours across savanna heat. The blood was richer in iron, packed with red blood cells. Why? Because blood carried oxygen. Oxygen meant life. And in the wild, seconds of stamina made the difference between meat and being meat. Even the spleen. Yes, the spleen evolved to store blood, releasing it in bursts during high-stress moments, like a natural adrenaline reserve. A cardiovascular system would be evolved to recover fast, to calm the body minutes after a chase or fight. lower resting heart rate, higher stroke volume, stronger blood vessels. Why? Because panic kills. Oxygen starvation kills. And this body was designed to keep fighting even when it should have collapsed. Next, the lungs, blood, and breath. This human could breathe in thin mountain air or sprint through jungle humidity. All of it was tuned for one thing: staying alive when the odds said you shouldn't tea. We've built the muscles. We've hardened the bones. We've engineered the lungs and the heart. But all of that means nothing if your body shuts down the moment you're injured. And in the Stone Age, you were always injured. Cuts, bruises, burns, infections, broken teeth, parasites. There was no medicine, no antiseptic, no rest days. Your body had to be your own hospital, pharmacy, and battlefield, all in one. So evolution responded. This human's body would produce massive amounts of endorphins and natural opioids during trauma. Not just dulling pain, but numbing it almost entirely. A deep cut wouldn't trigger panic. A broken toe wouldn't stop the hunt. The brain would register the injury, assess the threat, and move on. Even the pain receptors themselves would be altered, tuned to only react to serious damage, not minor discomfort. Cold, tolerable. Heat, bearable. Fatigue, normal. This human didn't just survive pain, they lived with it. From childhood. This is the story of the most indestructible human body that ever existed. Skin wounds sealed within days. Bone fractures stabilized in weeks, not months. Soft tissue injuries, overridden by sheer force of necessity. Even sleep cycles were adapted. Shorter, deeper, able to rest the body in small bursts instead of long 8-hour intervals. This wasn't just a body that healed. It was a body that refused to die. An average male weighed about 200 pounds. His muscles were thicker, his bones denser, his skin tougher, his heart bigger, his lungs more powerful. But by the relentless demands of wild survival. But this raises a haunting question. What if you, right now, were born with this body? In Chapter 3, we dive into the senses, brain, and primal instincts that powered this beast. Then, in Chapter 4, we drop this human into the modern world and see what happens. We're allergic to peanuts, grass, even our own skin sometimes. Not this human. This prehistoric body evolved in filth. Dirt, rotting meat, feces, blood, maggots, and bacteria-covered wounds. It adapted by becoming hyperselective, aggressive when needed, calm when not. If you pricked your finger, 10 billion bacteria would enter your body. Half of them would be dead within seconds, obliterated by a powerful immune response. Blood clotting factors would rush to the wound site, triggered by an alarm system that sounded the moment the skin was breached. Platelets formed a plug. White blood cells flooded the area. Macrophages engulfed the remaining bacteria. T cells identified the threat, and B cells produced antibodies to neutralize it. Within hours, the wound would be sealed and the battle would be won. Or the body would die trying. White blood cell count. Permanently elevated. That meant the body was always prepared for battle. Wound healing twice as fast. The body repurposed resources away from digestion, brain function, and movement to concentrate on repair. Stomach acid, strong enough to kill salmonella. The digestive system was a weapon against pathogens, skin flora, covered in bacteria, but friendly ones that kept infections at bay. The gut microbiome wasn't clean. It was ruthless. A battalion of bacteria trained by centuries of spoiled meat and wild roots. You could eat things that would hospitalize a modern person and walk it off, and he moved like a dancer. His center of gravity was low, his joints flexible, his reflexes lightning fast. But all those physical advantages meant nothing without an inner fortress, a body that could endure, adapt, and heal from anything. And that begins with immune system. A walking fortress, modern humans have delicate immune systems. Pain tolerance. Numb by nature, pain is a survival signal. But in a world where pain is constant, sensitivity becomes a liability. Regeneration and resilience. Here's the wild part. Because of high nutrient demands, bone density, and blood quality, this body healed fast. So now you have it. A human body sculpted not by culture, comfort, or modern beauty. The modern human brain is brilliant. It can write novels, build rockets, and binge 12 episodes in a row without blinking. But it's also anxious, easily distracted, and dangerously out of sync with reality. Now imagine a brain that never had the luxury of comfort, never knew technology, never separated thinking from surviving. That S, the Stone Age brain. And it was built for one job only: make it through the next 24 hours. Let's go back to the Pleistocene epoch, about 2.6 million years ago, when humans and Neanderthals roamed the Earth. Let's start with the brain's hardware. Our Stone Age brain wasn't larger than ours. In fact, it was likely slightly smaller in some regions. Every feeling, every response, every reflex was programmed for one reason: to keep you alive. You felt hunger, you hunted. You heard rustling, you ran or threw. You saw someone flinch. We'll tell you how this brain would fare in our modern world, for better or worse, in the final part of this chapter. You read it instantly as fear, aggression, or illness. In every way, it was perfectly suited to its world. It just lacked one thing: complexity. Stay tuned to find out. This brain wouldn't understand art, science, or sarcasm. It wouldn't ponder the universe or overthink relationships. It wouldn't even know what Netflix is. For this brain, life was immediate, direct, real. There was no room for anything else, except now there is. There was no time to analyze. The Stone Age brain operated like a program, constantly scanning, reacting, adapting. And because death could come at any moment, this brain lived in a state of controlled readiness. Not quite panic, but a kind of permanent tension. Modern people call it anxiety. Back then, it was called being alive. It scanned for threats while you slept. It warned you before you acted. It was raw, sharp, and unforgiving, perfectly tuned to a life where every moment could be your last. What's more, this brain was deeply tribal. Emotions weren't just functional, they were social. A smile, a gesture, a word. They all served a purpose beyond the individual. They strengthened the group. This brain would have thrived on sharing resources, defending the weak, breeding with the best. It would have been happiest in a group, contributing to its defense, its hunt, its rearing of children. This is all about memory, but specifically about spatial memory. This is the seat of decision-making, rational thought, and planning for the future. Today, our emotions are tangled, sensitive, and often destructive. But prehistoric emotion was cleaner, simpler, and tied to function. Fear kept you alive. Anger gave you power. Sadness was a bonding mechanism in the tribe. Love existed, but it was protective, primal, and deeply territorial. This brain didn't waste emotion on hypotheticals or social anxiety. If someone in your group betrayed you, exile or violence. If a child was sick and couldn't survive, grief, yes, but quick acceptance. Nature doesn't wait. And in this world, neither could your brain. Today, this area is highly developed, maybe too much. When it comes to survival, this level of thinking is great. You can assess options, weigh risks and benefits, and make the best choice. Except in the wild, overthinking gets you killed. Because you hesitate, you become prey. So the Stone Age brain kept this region in check. It forced instinct over analysis. It made you act immediately, based on sight, smell, sound, or memory. No time to Google it. Think of a map. The hippocampus helped you navigate vast, featureless terrain without getting lost. This was crucial in a world without maps, roads, or GPS, but it made this human terrible with names, faces, and numbers. No IKEA furniture assembly for this guy. It never switched off. This made our prehistoric human hyper-aware of threats, but it meant there was no such thing as I forgot. Your brain always knew something was wrong. But it was more efficient, more focused, and brutally logical. Like today, it had an amygdala, which processes fear, a hippocampus, which manages spatial memory, and a prefrontal cortex, our modern decision-maker. But these regions were more primitive, more tightly integrated, and brutally efficient. First, the amygdala. This is the brain's alarm system, and it was larger and more active than ours. Then the hippocampus. Finally, the prefrontal cortex. But how did this brain learn what to do? Through instinct. In short, the Stone Age mind wasn't dumber. But what happens when you drop this magnificent Stone Age brain into the modern world? Until then, let's look at the brain's software, the emotions that drove this hardware. So to recap, the Stone Age brain was smarter, more instinctual, more tribal, and more resilient. In the next episode, we'll see what happens when you plug this prehistoric brain into 21st century life. Will it burn out, go viral, or rule the world? Now imagine this. You take this perfectly evolved Stone Age human, muscles and senses and brain and all, and drop them into a 2025 city. Not trained, not educated, just placed there. Imagine the flashing lights, the sirens, the traffic, the digital screens, the thousands of strangers moving at once. The prehistoric brain, built for reading nature, would go into overdrive. It would see every moving object as potential danger. It would hear every sound as a warning. It would smell chemicals and processed food and body odor and cleaning products. None of it recognizable. All of it overwhelming. It's a brain that solves problems with its hands, not its intellect. A brain that remembers geography after one glance, not after years of school. A brain that can detect lies from tone and body, not from carefully crafted statements. A brain that stays calm when under real life-threatening pressure, not just in a virtual simulation like a video game. And unlike us, who've numbed these signals over decades, this brain wouldn't filter them out, but put them in traffic, in a cubicle, on a Zoom call. They'd fall apart because they weren't built for this world, and honestly, neither were we. Over millennia, we've tamed that Stone Age brain. We've taught it to read traffic lights instead of saber-toothed tigers. We've socialized it to sit through long meetings and small talk. We've convinced ourselves that quarterly profits are more important than tribal loyalty. In other words, we've domesticated our Stone Age brain until it can barely survive in the modern world. It would absorb everything, react to everything, and assume that something is about to attack. What if you could turn down the domestication, lean into the instincts, survive and thrive in a way no one ever thought possible? That's the topic of my next video. See you there. What happens next? This mind was designed to act on instincts immediately, not suppress them. Someone looks at you the wrong way, fight or flee. Food left on a counter. Take it. Survival demands it. Tight spaces, loud music, emotional confusion. Violent stress response, the kind we now call panic attacks or rage episodes. This isn't mental illness. This is a biological mismatch. Instincts optimized for savannas and saber-tooths, trapped in shopping malls and TikTok feeds. The first thing to hit, sensory overload. They find a small group of fellow survivors, maybe a family or a couple of friends. They band together. This is where things get interesting. See, modern humans live in massive, anonymous societies. But this prehistoric mind evolved in small tribes, 20 to 50 people, all known, all trusted, all tied by blood or survival. So what happens in a city of millions? A total breakdown. This person would experience deep distrust of strangers, hyper-loyalty to their tiny circle, maybe even paranoia about outsiders. They wouldn't understand abstract laws or distant authority, couldn't grasp the concept of paying taxes to a government they've never seen. They wouldn't know how to navigate huge buildings, use public transport, or even cross a street. They'd expect everyone to know who they are and what they're about. If someone didn't, it'd be a threat. They'd thrive in small communities, emergency situations, harsh wilderness environments. But in a boardroom, classroom, or dating app, they'd feel like an alien. Now, instincts. But okay, let's say our Stone Age friend makes it through the sensory onslaught, and yet, genius in the wild. This brain isn't dumb. In fact, it might be brilliant, just not in the way modern society rewards. Put this person in a jungle, desert, or war zone, they'd dominate. What if you could tap into that brain's brilliance? You wake up tomorrow morning, something feels different. You open your eyes, everything looks the same, but you aren't the same. Let's imagine the impossible. You wake up tomorrow morning, but your body isn't yours anymore. It's the one we've spent this entire documentary building. The Stone Age version of you. So let's go back. Back to when humans were hunter-gatherers. When our bodies were tools for survival, not status symbols. When we ran on instincts, not overthinking. You are thick-boned and shorter than you are now. Your muscles are heavier, more compact. Your hands are like tools, not manicured. Your feet are bigger with leather-like soles. You walk barefoot everywhere. Your eyes see well in near darkness. You can sniff out danger. Pick up a scent miles away. Your ears hear the whisper of leaves, the rustle of small game. Your fingers are dexterous, not clumsy. Your gut could digest roadkill, live on berries and roots. You get vitamin deficiencies now. Your brain is smaller, lighter. It relies on instincts honed over millions of years, not the new expanded thinking of the last 10,000 years. You think less, you feel more. You used to be stronger, faster, tougher, smarter. Now you're weaker, slower, softer, dumber. At least in a modern sense. You stand up, and the world doesn't make sense. Doors don't fit. Clothes don't fit. Society doesn't fit. First obstacle, the built world wasn't designed for you. The clothes you put on are too soft, too tight. Your shoulders stretch through seams. Your thighs don't fit modern jeans. In fact, you spend most of your day trying to fix clothes, making them tighter. You spend most of your money on rawhide to wrap yourself in. Your feet reject shoes. They weren't made for flat soles and narrow toe boxes. Modern footwear feels like a trap. The doors you pass through feel low. The cars you ride in feel like coffins. You need space, sky, wind. Your body feels caged. Even eating is wrong. The food is too soft, too sweet. You crave raw fat, charred meat, roots you have to chew for hours. Your stomach turns at soda. Bread makes you feel bloated. You gag on sugar. You feel sick in restaurants. At home, you spend half your time foraging, searching for natural foods. Movement is unnatural. You can't sit still. Your joints ache in chairs. Your body wants to squat, crawl, move constantly. The stillness of school or office life feels like punishment. Your hands itch to build. Your legs twitch for hills and forests. Every room feels wrong, stale, to clean, to quiet. You're not wired to stay in one place. You're wired to track something, a scent, a sound, a hunt. Even walking down the street, your head is on a swivel. Every movement, every shadow analyzed instantly. You're not paranoid. You're just a predator. In a zoo. People feel alien social rules confuse you. Smiles seem fake. Conversations feel pointless. Why talk without purpose? Why lie? Why touch but not fight or mate? You judge people by their scent, their posture, their eyes. You sense weakness, fear, illness, attraction. But you don't know what to do with those feelings in a modern context. You speak bluntly. You stand too close. You don't read the room. And it makes people uncomfortable, even afraid. For thousands of years, you've been honing the perfect spear throw. For the past 6 months, you've been writing computer code. Which one is more satisfying? If you're honest, you crave the spear throw. It feels more natural, more real. The problem is, society demands the computer code. It thinks you're broken. But you were born in the wrong millennium. But that doesn't mean you're broken. In the next part, we'll explore what advantages this body and mind would give you today. In sports, in combat, in survival. And in ways the modern world has nearly forgotten. In a world that's constantly trying to slow you down, this body will make you a threat. If these four walls feel too confining for you, if you dream of wide-open spaces, if the roar of crowds you don't fit into modern life. And that doesn't mean you're useless. In fact, you're extraordinary, not in the ways this world measures. You can sprint barefoot across gravel, climb a tree in seconds, drag two grown adults through the mud, go a full day without food or rest, and still keep moving. Your muscles are denser, more energy efficient. Your heart is stronger. Your lungs are deeper. In a world obsessed with fitness, you don't train, you exist, and it's enough to make you a threat. You either break or you become something the world doesn't expect. I feel anxious, angry, depressed, out of control. If that's you, this next part is crucial. But you were born for this. You have an unstoppable core of resilience, the ability to connect with people on a primal level, and a strategic mind that can outmaneuver any obstacle. The world has a way of beating the fire out of you, of turning your strengths into weaknesses. And in a world that's always trying to make you smaller, slower, weaker, you are a threat. How do you connect, compete, and collaborate when your instincts don't align with the crowd? See you then. Until then, remember, you're not just here to survive, you're here to thrive. You're not just a product of your environment, you're a conqueror of it. And this world needs your fire. Don't let it go out. A threat to the status quo, a threat to mediocrity, a threat to complacency. And that's a beautiful thing. The question is, are you going to let that happen? Are you going to spend your life trying to fit in, trying to be normal? Or are you going to use every advantage your prehistoric body and brain have given you to blaze your own trail? You're not just strong, you're resilient. You don't get shin splints. You don't get hangry. Do you really think it's luck that allowed him to survive? He had to be faster, smarter, more resilient than the rest. And in the same way, you have unique gifts that have been honed by thousands of years of evolution. You're not here by accident. In the coming episodes, we'll dive deeper into the social, emotional, and even romantic challenges of living with a prehistoric body and mind in a modern world. We'll explore how your instincts can be perceived as weaknesses, how your strength can be misunderstood, and how your relentless spirit can be both your greatest asset and your biggest liability. Your body doesn't ask for comfort, it conquers discomfort. Because this prehistoric body of yours is full of advantages most people have lost. Let's talk about them. Your ancestors didn't survive for hundreds of thousands of years by being passive. They fought, they hunted, they explored, they conquered, and so can you. And the glare of stadium lights feels more like a cage than a celebration. Then this is for you. Welcome to the series. Today, we'll take a deep dive into the primal body, the frame that makes you who you are. Here's a reality check. First up, unmatched physical strength and endurance. You don't need a gym. Your body is already built for power. You don't overthink. You simplify. Problem, solution, action. This gives you an edge in emergency response, extreme sports, tactical environments, combat, wilderness, survival, even leadership. While others debate and collapse under pressure, you're already 3 moves ahead. Your mind was never designed to chill. It was built to endure pressure and lead under fire. Next, situational awareness on another level. You notice everything. Not because you're paranoid, because you're tuned in. You catch micro-expressions. You hear subtle changes in tone. You sense tension in a room before anyone else does. Where others hesitate, you act. Where others freeze, you move. You can spot threats without turning your head. Know who's lying without hearing a word. Feel when someone is watching you and find them instantly. In sports, in combat, in crisis, you're the one everyone follows because your instincts are sharp and unshakable. Then there's mental clarity in chaos. Modern minds spin in circles. Yours doesn't. When danger strikes, you don't panic. Now, let's talk about what happens when someone like you, someone built by evolution for pain, speed, and survival, walks into a world that rewards passivity. Some of you might be thinking, this sounds great, but I don't feel this way. Think back to the cavemen who couldn't outrun a saber-toothed tiger. Here's a simple truth. Life is hard. The world is complex. And every day, it becomes more challenging to navigate. This isn't just a documentary. It's a call to action. If you're ready to tap into your full potential, to embrace the fire within you, to become the predator instead of the prey, then stay tuned. But for now, let this be your reminder that you are not broken. You are not crazy. You are not too much for this world. You are just different. Stay tuned for the next episode, where we'll delve into the social implications of your prehistoric mind.